Hello, everybody. My name is Miles Martin Munoz, and I'm here today to talk about challenges, improvement to educate for self advocacy for employment, plus the chapters from the book. The CMST class I'm in is 230, small group project on communication and leadership. The objective and the objectives are active titles, improvement, self advocacy for employment. Number one, the vision. Identify the common employment challenges in interviews or accommodations in communication. That's very common because most employers struggle with this with most people that's trying to get into a job. They don't know what to say or how to get started to really get the process going to a job. And I'll personally discuss it over to the next slide. But problem solving and adaptation, practice role playing self advocacy situations. This is a very thing that's very helpful. What we're going to be doing in this group project with my cousins involved because we're trying to build their independent skills. And you pretty much need it if you're going to be looking for a job. The third step would be um, small group communication sharing, person strategies and resources. So what I meant to say was personal, but person, yes, because you are looking at the perspective of the employer, but also the personal strategies would be like people like me and my other cousin that's a little bit older, but I'm older than him. We had more experience on trying to look for jobs. So we're going to be more like really educating them is the main source. And we'll hear their strategies, hear ours, but we'll just give them more of an input what to expect. The dynamics. The goal is to help participation, building confidence, to advocate for themselves in a workplace. So the dynamics with this one is very complicated, but it's also reality too, because when you're a when your participations building confidence is very funny because when you're going to be working with a group or in a scenario you know you're going to be involved with a lot of people or even a little bit, you need to advocate for yourself, but also you got to be well aware of your surrounding. Five, leadership style is it's most of all intelligence. Introduction, you're going to learn today about self-advocacy and employment. What about me? Well, I was born and raised in Sunnyside, Washington. I'm a YBC student, and I am diagnosed with autism, and I was born with disabilities, but it was kind of like too late at the scenario. But I did got them when I was 19 years old. So I did went to these agencies with DSHS or DVR or DDA. Those are departments that usually help people with disabilities to try to look for jobs. But I'm not saying like it's only just this that's going to help you look for jobs. Like you need to have a disability in that. No, there's other agencies that could also help you look for jobs. It's just you have to look for the right resources, and this is why we made this group project to try to educate people to try to get a job and try to find sources for this economy to survive. About this project, the purpose is to educate people to be their own self advocate on employment. That is mostly the main objective here. Why I chose this topic, it is building real world skills that you need to have that can help you when it comes to researching for jobs or even trying to get employed for jobs, especially in front of the employer. Okay, my vision. This is all we want to do to survive is to have an opportunity to get a job. That's it. The quote from the book called Introduction to Leadership by Peter J. Northouse. The quote what I like was intelligence is an important trait to relate to effective leadership, and intelligence include having a good language skill, perceptual skills, and reasonable skills. You got to have these, especially when you're going to be working with groups, especially when you're going in interviews. You got to know to a certain degree of knowledge and experience if you're going to try to get anywhere close to what you want to do in your life, or especially in when it comes to employment. So these are the steps we kind of went over for number one, what I want to explain. The vision, identify a common employment challenges, interviews, accommodations, or communication. And this is the main list. A lot of people are struggling today is how to apply online for applications or even make a resume or what website to apply in or how to make an application or how do you contact the information by the place you're trying to get hired or what are their recommendations for the job, how to get ready for an interview, doing the questionnaires, dressing up for an interview, body language, surprisingly that tells a lot, and how to answer questions you might not know, and you be how you be on your own self-advocate through the process is one of our main ideals of the process with my younger cousins. We're going to see if they're able to survive and able to understand, but also I'm trying to educate everybody else. There's always going to be steps, but the main thing is we want you to continue through the process. Don't give up on it. Like how they say, you got to persevere. Okay, the workshop phase. It was me and my cousin are doing the workshop phase on how to prepare for getting a job. Me, Miles Munoz, and my other cousin Jose Munoz are more experienced on getting jobs compared to my other cousins that are in high school, that are Omar and Adrian. So me and Jose were more like the job coaches in these workshops, and I'm trying to move this. It's kind of hard to read when your camera's everywhere. And they are more like the participants in our project. But it's more than that because we're trying to get their perspective how, like for example, we were born in a older generation and they're in a newer generation. So we're trying to compare both perspectives. We will discuss the results, how they do in each task, and we will explain how they did and educate them on how to get a job and being their own self-advocate or your own self-advocate. Either way, they need to learn that skill because we all have to. What are the do's and don'ts in this project? Well, the do's is ask questions, pay attention, and be respectful or just respect in general. The don'ts, don't talk over others, no sarcasm, joking around, or no disrespecting. Because in the end of the day, these are serious skills you gotta be well aware of doing. Problem solving and adaptation. Well, when I was doing problem solving and adaptation, there was one quote I kept at the back of my head, even when I was in other agencies and when I'm still in an agency right now. From this quote is the prime example. What I live by is from the book is determination is the decision to get the job done and includes characteristics such as innate perseverance and drive. And you got to be that way, especially at jobs, and especially how now these days it's harder to get a job because how the economy, inflation is kind of going ups and downs, and plus everybody's scared to hire. You still have to show that drive that you got to persevere through the rough times to make good times. 2, problem solving and adaptation practice role playing, self-advocacy situations. When we went over the questions, we noticed, and it was me and my other cousin that's a bit older than his brothers. They're all 3 are brothers. Now you know. We noticed there was a problem that it's very common how to get started. It's more like how to get started on the first to apply for a resume or application. Those are usually the main things. What I was trying to say was like, usually that step alone is what kind of like gets people off the edge. But how to really explain in those processes, and we had to explain it to my younger cousins that are in high school, explain to my younger cousin, a job resume is a document that presents an individual's background, skill, and accomplishment, primary use to apply for jobs. And there's also different formatting too. They got to be well aware which one's going to be more effective for the employer that's really wanting to hire them. Because they do look up to that, hard to believe it. And applying is the difficult part because it depends on applying for jobs or educational opportunities can be challenging due to various factors, including time it takes, the competition, the often generic natural of online applications, I think this is where we're all at personally because this is a very difficult matter we're all facing in a way, even with people with disabilities or not. Is that if you're, for example, let's put to you this, like if you're doing a full time in college, you would rather look for part time for work, right? They say it's way more rare, but it is possible it could happen. Same goes the other way around. Trying to do full time, it could also backfire on you. So it's almost like it's very, it is manageable to do, but it's also very risky at the same time because every action has a consequence you got to be well aware of, especially when you're getting a job, trying to do college. You're playing with fire. It's tedious at the same time because how they say, and we even told my nephews just to be well aware of it. Like if you're just going to work, okay, be my guess, you could do full time, part time. Full time, you're probably going to have a higher chance compared to part time. But we had to tell them as it is. If you're just trying to survive, then you could do full time. But if you're going for more in life, then you got to kind of like plan it. You got to strategize and how are you going to make time for everything. What you got to do, pretty much. Okay, the result we noticed is they were more confident on steps on getting a job after we were discussing the task is in hand, what they had to do. They were adapting real quick, but they lacked on communication, finding the resources to apply for a job. I think that was what was throwing them off a little bit more. It's because when you're in high school, you would think like, okay, after I graduate, I'm going to go to college or go to work. It's that mental state you think it's going to be right away. And it's personally everybody's guilty at this because we were always programmed like, okay, we got to get it done, we got to do this, that. Like it was just normal. But in reality, is there's more towards it. Some people are fortunate to have it quick. Some people are not. So in my hope, I'm trying to inspire and keep them going. But they also need to realize this: when you're having an interview with an employer, you're also interviewing them too because you got to learn the skill, especially when it comes to one, is the job going to fit for you? And even if it's not going to fit for you, you got to know, is this person going to be reliable? Like, for example, you could trust to go into a job. It's these questions, that's why they always say it's good to interview, but it's also interview the employer too. But your main goal is trying to get the job. It just depends what the train of mind of both people's perspectives, because you guys are both playing checkmate in chess. The outcome I've noticed was in this project, I noticed it was a bit difficult for my younger cousins that participated in the group workshop activities than their older brother, that's the other cousin, because they didn't know how many steps you needed to get a job. But me and the other, well, their older brother, one of the two, but we were more well experienced and we know this. And plus, one of us has agencies, one of us had to learn without agencies, and even I had to learn without too. It was kind of like we were more well aware compared to them, but they're finally realizing it's not that simple. Do I discourage them? No. I want them to keep on going and learn from it. Okay, on that, educating them on being their own self advocate, especially that one when it comes to applying for jobs and doing what they got to do to get a job. Okay, the conclusion of my project. When I when I did when I did and got it done personally, or pretty much I got it done, it it made me to reflect on how tedious of the expectations of this project. But if I ever do another project like this, I would more like start in a different direction. And personally, yeah, it was fun, but that's just my perspective in a different direction, but probably add more context. But it's my first time doing this. And I like this quote. I know it's corny as hell. A while it took, but I learned. Wait, hold on. I could barely see this. Learning you are. So I know that seems a bit not the right grammar, but it's almost saying like this, like even it took a while, you're still going to learn. And that's the point how you got to see a job, is that you got to keep on persevering. Even you have a disability or not, you can't just give up. So sure, some of us might be in certain situations, it's not that simple. But I'm encouraging you, and no matter what, even if you're doing something in life, you should be happy you did. You are doing something. It's when you're not, then yeah, you should get mad at yourself. But whoever keeps on going after their dreams, trying to survive in this economy, it's full respect. So don't let anybody discourage you. Keep on going. And I wish you guys all have a good day. A good day. Thank you for listening for my speech. Take care and bye.